How's it going? Welcome back. It's Jonathan. Now, I have to be honest, I'm a little out of touch when it comes to making videos. I don't think I've made a video for well over a month. Got COVID, got pretty sick, had this continuous cough that wouldn't go away. I didn't really have anything else to talk about because, I'm just following the roadmap, just trying to understand where the crypto market is going. So I only tend to come out, do when I got something to say. So here I am, and yeah, welcome back. Well, what a bloody change to the market dynamic we've had. What you got on your screen right now is the 2022 cycle tracking tool. Now, obviously, out of benefit for everyone else who's actually joined the back end, I won't be showing what's about to happen in the future. Instead, I'll be showing what's already happened in the past. So give me a second to just highlight a few things right now, okay? Alrighty, so I got my handy dandy pen. What we're going to do is we're just going to highlight two things. So first of all, the golden one, or the brownie one, is the forecast. And second of all, this silver one is the actual market behavior that's occurred in Bitcoin. And as we can see, if we just, start again here, the golden one suggested that we'd get a decline in prices, a sharp rally, another decline, and then some form of stabilization into the future, where I won't go into detail what happens after that. If we look at what's actually occurred in the price of Bitcoin, we got the market collapse at the start of the year. The market rallied instead of declined. So this is what we call an inversion in the market, or a polarity flip. The market did try to come back down, replicated exactly this pump here. We got a little bit of an inversion here where the forecast was suggesting lower, but the market rallied higher. So yes, we have one inversion here, two inversions here. And what's happened instead is the price of Bitcoin has come back down to sort of match with the actual forecast. Now what happens here is to be seen. Ideally, Bitcoin trends sideways and doesn't go any lower. If it does go lower, that's fine. It's just an inversion to the downside, like we've had inversions to the upside of the forecast. But in saying that, these roadmaps or mass pressure charts, as they were originally termed, do not signal or do not highlight at least price. They only highlight or suggest direction. So we look at them for direction and what the market is likely to do through the year. So if Bitcoin just comes down and crashes and goes down to like $10,000, well, I know that the forecast has been invalidated from here on out. However, if we get some sort of normalization and sideways moving market, then I would just suggest that the forecast is acting as per intended. So we need to wait it out. But as you guys know, if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, I did not have a bullish outlook for 2022. In fact, we've been highlighting for quite a while now that 2022 is going to be primarily down until we get our mid-year potential reversal, but we have to wait and see what happens mid-year because we've got two forecasts that are potentially to be watching. But that just goes to show that all these plebs, all these clowns that are following these stock to flow analysis, following all these different indicators, so far, one indicator has ruled them all, and that is the cycles. And that is one that I learned several years ago was the king of all indicators. Okay, so that's why I just kept sharing it over and over again with you guys. So let's go through the Bitcoin chart. Oh my gosh, I actually have not looked at Bitcoin like on the charts for at least since the last time we spoke. So I probably have some updating to do here. Just before the video, I jumped on and chucked in the next 90-day cycle. So as you guys know, I'm probably the first person to run through all the 90-day cycles for Bitcoin, at least publicly on YouTube. And anyone else who's doing it may just be copying this, so it doesn't matter. Just know that I've highlighted, generally speaking, where I believe that the lows should come in. And the lows, in this case, we're looking for left and right translations. Let's get rid of this thing. Maybe I should move this. Let's move it here. Left and right translation for this market. So if the market moves up from its low and then gets a left translation top, which just means that the top is on the left hand side of this, that signals that the right hand side is going to be lower than the low it started, which is exactly what we got here. So you're all pretty well aware of how this works now, and that means that this end of cycle low should be occurring around here. Which we're now entering that period now. So if Bitcoin is going to keep crumbling lower, it's going to do it at least within the next 30 days, and it should find its low, and then that'll reset the Bitcoin market for the next 90 days, and we just need to see if it's going to be a high, low, or low, low, etc. Blah blah blah. So moving on from that, let's take a look at a different chart, shall we? Okay, so what's happening here? So I believe that if we look back at some other videos that I highlighted this area here as a potential place to watch for a low in the Bitcoin market. Very sexy circle there. Let's see if there's anything down below further. I was also watching around that 26,000 mark, which I believe is this 61% of the all-time range. So if I go ahead and just change this now to the rectangle, get a little rectangle in here. This is sort of the area that we were waiting for a potential low to occur, and that was months ago. I think we put these lows in, I don't know, possibly back in January or whatever. Go back and take a look at the old videos. You'll see all the prior analysis in there. All I'm doing is just refreshing you on where we are now, and we can definitely see that our buy zone is heating up, and our sell zone, suggested that we get out of the market around this area as it moved into our old cluster spaces. So you just see these old spaces from long, long ago still working because this is just standard market harmonics. So leave them on the chart indefinitely until you rise way above them. Keep them on the chart because they'll keep activating as we go through. So I haven't done a video for months, and this was back in 28th of March that this top hit inside our box, and it moved down, came up and touched the next one, and then nothing really since till this box has occurred. So that's just how the markets work. So that's why I always suggest you guys put them on the chart and just leave them on the chart. Let's take a look here. This is our Kagi chart. Still all bearish. Everything's bearish here. Let's keep moving forward. Cycles, we just went over that. Seasonality, we all know that typically speaking, anyone who's doing seasonality for you, seasonality is from 2011 to 2022, and it goes through all the years and their standard performance. Seasonality does not take into account cycles. You need to overlay the cycles to understand what is actually occurring, and Bitcoin has some inherent cycles that have been with it since birth, and those cycles will continue indefinitely until the cycles change. That's something you need to keep an eye on. The squares are doing beautifully, so Bitcoin continues to find congestion around these points of interest in the squares, so it's hitting tops and bottoms on these lines. Generally speaking, within certain percentages anyway. Bitcoin's currently trended up from its low of around 27,900, at least using this data. It broke slightly through this blue line here, and then it has reversed higher. We'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. As again, I got nothing too interesting to share with you. These 1x1 lines generally give us support and resistance for the market. So as the market was moving up from these old lines here, it found support here. And these 1x1 lines, which I was watching from this top up here down, we could definitely see, that was a really bad line, that once the market broke it, came up to test it, traded along it for quite a while before breaking through. So that's obviously not pretty at all. But I would say, like, if you're in crypto and you're not buying right now, like your probability of success now is higher for profit than it was if you were buying back in these 40,000 point ranges. So anything around this range here, your probability of success was way lower than what it is now. I think that probability of success, if you have a long-term bullish outlook, and if the cycles should continue, your probability of success has now greatened. I'm not saying that the price can't continue down or sideways for several more months, but I think that a lot of the losses have already been made, and any further downside here, if it goes down to 20,000, let's do some sort of percentage here. If it goes down to 20,000, you risk losing 24% or 30%. But if you're buying up in this $40,000 range, which a lot of people were suggesting you should buy at, you're looking at losing half your portfolio. So the probability of success and the risk is now a lot lower if you start to look for deals around this location. Let's move on, see if there's anything interesting. Okay, so the only other thing I want to look at is the halving cycle. Look, I'm not an expert on halving. I'm an expert on like forecasting and cycles, etc. So I don't really understand the halving cycle in itself and why it's significant. But what I do understand is how these cycles play out, and everything that's occurring right now is on par to where the cycle is. And I'm not concerned at all with the price action of Bitcoin. Long term, at least, I still believe that we got another major bull run that'll start next year. But in saying that, anything that you do in this period here, so anything that you're buying, around that $26,000 to $30,000 mark, you know, a lot of coins are down, 60 to 90% from their tops, and a lot of markets, like the NFT trading market, stocks, they're all heavily down. So if you've got a long-term outlook, right now the risk to reward has definitely increased. Of course, you don't want to be catching a falling knife. You want to be smart in how you go about actually planning your buy and sell signals and trading your plan, I should say. But if that's something that you're interested in actually doing, then probably now is like one of the better times to be actually looking at doing that. So I just thought I'd get back on here and give you an update. Everything's going according to plan. There's a lot of fear on these YouTube channels. I don't want to name names. I've mentioned a few channels a few times, up and down, left and right. They don't know what's going on. I'm not here to suggest I do know what's going on, but I think I have a better understanding of, what is likely to occur in the future than a lot of these other guys. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Take everything everyone else says with a grain of salt. Yeah, wish you a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you real soon.